Hello everyone, welcome to I Learn Digital class. My name is Steven. I want to use this opportunity to appreciate those that have already subscribed to my YouTube channel. I'm so grateful for your likes, for the share, for the comment as well. So I'm so grateful for that. And a few weeks ago, I started a tutorial on this channel on how on React hooks. Yeah, I've released several videos on React hooks. So if you've not yet seen some of my previous videos, I would advise you to go and watch some of my previous videos. So today, what do we want to be looking at? Today, I'll be explaining to us how we can fetch data from an API using React hooks. And one of the important code we're going to be using is we're going to be using UseEffect. One of the important hooks rather that we'll be using is UseEffect hooks. Be making use of the UseEffect hooks. You know, in React components, you make use of component did mount. Yeah, you use component did mount in React components, but in React hooks, we are going to make use of UseEffect. So in one of my videos, I've explained the difference between component did mount and UseEffect. Yeah, if you've not seen that previous video as well, it's on my YouTube channel. Just go and I think that is my parts. I think it's the first video on React hooks. Yeah, I think maybe first or second video. So just go and watch it and you'll be able to understand better the difference between component did mount and UseEffect. So I will not be going into that. So what I'll be looking at today is that how you can fetch data from an API using UseEffect, and we'll be making use of UseEffect hooks. So let's get down to business. So I'm using Sublime as my text editor, so you can use any of your preferable text editor. So now I'm going to use the React snippet here to get the functional component. So I'm going to change the formatting here to TypeScript React. Beautiful. So now the first thing we have to do is that I want to import two hooks here. Use states. I'm going to use states and use effects. So, and the next thing we have to do is that, you know, I'm not going to be explaining use state in this particular video. I've done that in my previous video, so just go and watch that. So I'll not be explaining the functions here. So what we have to do is that we're going to say constant, then we have names here, then we set names. You have set names, then we set the default state of the name to none. Then we have use state, then we'll set this to none. So the next thing we have to do is that they will come down here. They will come down here to have use effects. We have use effects here. So use effects. Then we have an arrow function here. And we have an arrow function here. So then we have to come back here to have an empty array here, so that our use effect will not keep running anytime the browser load. So we have to stop, we have to make it load once. So that's why we're having this here. So let's proceed now. What we want to do next is that we want to fetch our data now. So constants, we're gonna have constants fetch data, constant fetch data, then we're gonna have async here, that is we want to fetch the data asynchronously. So then we come here, then we have an arrow function again as well. So we're gonna have constant response, that is the response. What is the response we want to get? So we're gonna have await here. The reason why we can make use of this await is because of this async here. We are getting the data asynchronously. So then we now have fetch. So where do we want to fetch our data from? We want to fetch our data from an API, and that API is api.randomuser.me. Let me show you the data we want to fetch. So this is the data. Don't mind this error yet. So this is the data we want to fetch out. As you can see, these are the data that we want to fetch out. So now let's get back into our code. Then we have, let me go and copy the URL here, so I will not be making any mistake. So let me come down here and paste the URL. So we want to get the data out from this particular place. So now let's proceed. Then we have constant. We have constant data is equals to await response dot JSON. So then the next thing we have to do is that we're gonna say constant item now. Constant item. I want to save what we want to retrieve. my data now into inside that item results. Hope you know where this result is coming from. Let me show you where the result is coming from. The result is coming from here. As you can see, the result is coming from here. That is, we want to get I want to get some data out from this result array here. Are you getting it now? So that is what we want to do here. So let's proceed. So the next we have to do is that we're gonna say set names. We're gonna set names to items. Set names to items. Set name to items. So what we want to do is that we set the default state of this name to none. So we are trying to change that default to item here. So that is what we are trying to do. So now let's call fetch data here. Fetch data. So let's call it here. So let's see if we are going to get our data. If everything works well, we should be able to get our data out. So let's come inside our JSX here and let's try to get our data out. Then we have names. Then we have let's get a div here as well. We have div. Okay. So let's have the div close. So inside this particular place, then we are going to have a JavaScript function here. Then we say names dot name. I'm going to explain where this name is coming from now. First, so this name is coming from here. Let me show you, because what I want to do is that I want to first get the first name. We have results here. Look at the name here now. Dots the first name. We want to get the first name here, though it's randomly. Are you getting what I'm saying now? So we want to get the first name here. The first name. That's what we want to get first. So now let's go back into our text editor. Let me save. So you come down inside your API. Okay, I've already imported here. Use API. Don't forget to do that as well. Just import your use API from components and use API. Then you call your use API here. So now let's come down into our code and let's see if everything works well. We are not getting error. Oops. Element is invalid. Blah, blah. Okay, it's reloading now. It's reloading. Let's see if everything works well. Let's wait for it. Beautiful. You see, we are able to get a data out. Robin, are you getting what I'm saying now? We are able to get a data out. The first name of someone here, though it's randomly. Even if I reload again, we are going to get another one here, another name here. But at least we get a data. The first name here. So that is the way you can fetch a data. So now let's add a little spice. Instead of us waiting while our data is fetched from the API, we can add loading here. We can add a loader here. Are you getting what I'm saying now? So let's just do a simple loading there. So let's come inside our use API here. Then we can have let's say constant loading. There's a constant loading. Then we have set loading. Then we're going to set it to true. Then we have use states. Then we set loading to true. Beautiful. So then we have to come here, and what I'm going to do is that we have to set it back to false. Immediately we get our data. So that's what we want to do now. But we are setting the default to loading. But once we fetch our data, we want to make sure that the loading disappears. Hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Hope I'm not complicating anything here. So that's what I'm just trying to do. So instead of us waiting till when, or even let's say for example you are building a web application for a company, and you're trying to fetch a data from an API. So instead of the user waiting and it seems as if nothing is happening, you can just add a loader. So once your data fetched, the loader will disappear. So we just want to do something similar to that here now. So that's what we want to do. So we're gonna have set loading. Set loading to false. Okay, so now let's come down here. Then we have to rewrite this. So we have to give a condition here. So what's the condition we want to give? We want to say loading loading. So what I say loading, then if it is loading, what do we want to show? If it's loading, we want to say, let's have a div here. Then close the div as well. So if it's loading, if the loading is true, we want it to show this particular one here. We want it to say is loading. How you get what I'm saying? Now let's say is loading, or let's say data is loading, so that we're able to get data is loading. So if the loading is true, this should display. But if it is false, are you guys what I'm saying now? If it is false, then we want to have our data, then this will disappear. Hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So we set if the loading is true, are you getting it now? We'll display data is loading. But else if it is false, Oh, sorry, it should be here. It should be at the back of this div here. So, and if it is false, we want to display data. So let me remove this name here. Or let me remove this out of here. So let me save, and let's go and see if it works. Let's see if it works. We have to reload here. As you can see, we have data is loading. Beautiful, it's working. Data is loading. So let's wait. You see, immediately our data stop loading, it disappear, and we'll get a name, Fatima. That's the name we get out. Let me reload again and see. Let me reload again and see how it works. So you will see very well. You see, we have again data is loading. Let's wait for it. Once we get our data is loading will disappear. Data is loading. You see, we have a name, Jimmy. Once our data finished loading, the name disappear. So that is the simple way how you can fetch data from an API. You see, we can get the number, we can get the name, we can get state, just same way. We can get city. So we can get any of these particular details here. So let's say this is a video. You'll be the first person to get the notification. So thank you for taking your time to watch. I'm still your friend, still a host, and still a brother, Stevie. Thanks for watching.